Hello everybody, I'm the Jake Gamer B here, and this is my first ever guide I want to make in this channel. Today I want to make a guide for my only main of this channel, Pyramid Head. And yes, I am actually a Pyramid Head main. For any of you those who don't know me, I'm a pure 84 Prestige Pyramid Head trying to dedicate to a Prestige 100, capable of getting pretty much shots and knowing the basics and the tactics of the killer. So starting off, I will talk into sections of each of the killer and this killer's power and how to advance to properly play Pyramid Head. As such, some people don't seem to play much of Pyramid Head due to the clunkiness of his power, and not many people like playing against Pyramid Head due to the hard tunneling counter that he has with his power. So, I wanted to make a guide of this to properly learn how to play this killer and to see if anybody are interested to even learning into this killer. If you're new to this killer, this will take a lot of time and patience and skill into Pyramid Head, as he has a high skill ceiling with his power. He's also an A tier killer capable of having his range attack and the ability to cage survivors. So, without any feign or further to do, let's start the guide. The first thing about Pyramid Head is we're going to go start with his stacks. He is a 115% movement speed killer of a meter of 42, or not 42, a 32 meter terror radius. He's also fairly a tall killer, so stealth perks or even add-ons may not really benefit Pyramid Head much, but he is also a bit quiet. His power is called Rites of Judgment, where you plunge your knife into the ground to carve in a trail. And during this time, you are moving 110% movement speed of your power. In addition of this, moving here in your power leaves behind a trail called Trails of Torment. And if survivors step on them, will be tormented from the trails. This power lasted for 5 seconds, and it takes 20 seconds for it to recharge completely. As you're going into this power, you'll also notice a prop called Punishment of the Damned, a range attack of 8 meters that goes through any collision, and it can hit multiple survivors. If they get hit by it, it deals a health save. Propping this charge attack has a 2.25 second cooldown and a very low speed. I haven't figured it out yet, but he does move pretty slow. If you cancel your power, he moves a 92% speed animation for 1 second. This was a nerf back then in his power to prevent Pyramid Head from, well, zoning. Now, we're going to go into the profits of playing Pyramid Head, and these are just the basics on Pyramid Head goes. As a beginner, you might be thinking that this killer might be difficult, and yes, this killer is really hard to master. But getting him skilled down can make worth a while into maining him. To get Pyramid Head's power down of Punishment of the Damned, you need to understand the importance of keeping survivors on their toes and how they will react, including of the flicks that you must perform. In this example video clip here, I plunged my knife to the ground with Bill around the corner. He's thinking that I might shoot, but I haven't. Around the corner, I was confident enough to take my shot, and I was correct right there. Always know it's important to keep on their toes and when they round corners. This is the tactical way of playing Pyramid Head. Do note though that some survivors will probably know this and will easily double back to fake you out. Like in this clip right here, I plunged my knife and went for the shot, but she reacted that I was going to take the shot and double back quickly. This causes me to lose my gamble and her dropping the pallet in the process. In this next clip right here, I got a notification somebody went for the save for Leon. It was Claudette. So I chased her down around this barn, and as you can see, there's a god pallet right there. But she didn't drop it. So I used my power thinking she was going to the window, but she didn't. So now again, rounding to the pallet, I plunged my knife to the ground, thinking that she might double back, which my guess was correct, and I managed to flick the shot, resulting into a hit. Do note that survivors will not fall for this, but in a quick type of toe, she managed to double back in a panic, thinking I was going to shoot. Always know to read your enemy here. See if they want to juke a lot. In this next clip, I'm chasing down Michaela on this large, hefty map. I plunged my knife to the ground and she doubled back. Thinking that she's going to run in, I came back and flicked my shot. But unfortunately, she ran by just in time and dodged the attack. Some survivors will have openings to do this, so it's always kind of watchful to know, but even so, you can still attempt to get the shot if you're fast enough. I was just unlucky there that I flicked too hard, because I figured that she was going to round the corner. Sometimes it's not even worth going for the shot. In this video here, I'm chasing down this survivor running a shack. I plunged my knife to the ground, but she didn't choose the pallet. I decided to not shoot as she was just close enough and I could still get the hit. Always know wherever there's a pallet or window, as they could use that to their advantage. But she wasn't near any pallet or window as she ran away from the shack. I plunged my knife again and she didn't go for it. She dodged again, so it was easy, resulting into an easy hit of just canceling your power. It's also note to work that even if you know you can flick your shot of blind curves, survivors will eventually still dodge in order to not get hit. This could sometimes waste your time, but this is a guessing game. But like I said, it's always important to know your enemy and to keep them on their toes of whether or not you're going to shoot. Like in this clip, I turned the curve, but he must have dodged out of the way as I saw a trail leaving behind him around that corner. In another example, in this one here, I'm chasing down the Michaela again to that same loop. I managed to get the hit off of her, but here we are back to the same loop where she juked my attack. So once again, I plunged my knife to the ground and waited for her to make a move. She hasn't made any move and decided to round the loop. So I did my shot and flick, but unfortunately I missed. However, I did a follow-up juke by hiding myself away and doubling back, catching her off guard, resulting in me catching her. So sometimes you want to kind of juke follow up if there's enough room and if you think the survivor is not going to hold away from you. Again, in this example, I used my punishment of the dam, but Alan Wake managed to dodge. So I decided to go right at the pallet and juke away just in time, him panicking to drop the pallet and getting me another free hit. It's important to note that the closer the survivor is to you, the faster your attack will hit them. So in this example, I put my blade down to pressure her as she went through this doorway, and she committed. So I take my shot and lay out the hit. Now she probably could have dodged it if she was away from me, but because she was really close to me, the attack initiated so very fast on her as she was just really close. So remember, the closer the survivor is to you, the faster the attack will hit them. And the further they away are from you, the shorter or the longer it will take to hit them. It's possible to hit a survivor through walls, but only if you know exactly their pathing, or reading just makes this easier. Even though I didn't want to hit Alan Wake, I still managed to get the hit though. Just know that where they're going and where you can hit them. Like in this clip, I shoved my blade down to the ground and Dwight decided to juke away thinking I was going to shoot. Again, he decided to come back, which initiated me to attack, and he tried to get away again, but he was again very close to my attack, resulting in the hit. I'm pretty confident now that you pretty much know how to use this power now. I think I already explained enough and show you already enough examples on how to use your ranged attack properly. Keep in mind that if you do master this down with Pyramid, congratulations, because this is probably one of his hardest power to master. The other power that he has is basically just Cage of Atonement, which is much easier but requires a little bit of planning ahead and depending on the map here. But If you do get this power down, great, because it is a disastrous to try to understand, but it will make you a very strong and good player once you get this all down. And trust me, it will help you get any hits. Keep in mind that when they step in your trail, Killer Instinct will reveal them like this Claudette here. Use this to your advantage to detect them through walls, and it will help you get even more shots without aura reading perks. Pyramid Head's second part of his power is the Cage of Atonement, where if a survivor is afflicted with torment and once you down them, if they're not on Death Hook, you have the option to send them to the Cage of Atonement. What it does is that it puts survivors and spawns them into a random spot of the map. Keep in mind of this, as this will be important for later. Also, they cannot attempt to unhook themselves at all, which means somebody has to come rescue them. So any perks that they have related for hooking will also not really work, making this a valuable strategy for tunneling. But any perks of hooking that you have will also not work, so keep this in mind. It's also important to note that on the second phase, well, this is reply to hooks too, but they also hit the same skill checks. This may not be that important though. Either way, you also cannot see the aura of it. But if you're a good Pyramid Head player, you can use this to your advantage even if you can't find them. Do note that when they do get rescued, it leaves out a loud notification so you'll still know exactly where they are. And one more thing to tell you, that the survivors, if they are also tormented, they can remove it by saving someone else from the torment. And they get removed from torment if they get saved. So there is a way for them to remove it, but it all relies on cages. It's also note that these cages will help you buy time without having to pick them up. So if you're in a very hurry on trying to get somewhere where a gen's about to be completed, or if you're worried that there's any flashlighters or anybody with flashbangs attempting to get for the save or even pallets, this is when the Cage of Atonement comes in. It gives Pyramid Head an option to literally bully the bully squads, or to just straight up counter them well. And there are ways you can inflict torment to survivors, but first I will talk about the cages. In this example here, I'm chasing down Fane, who is injured, and I managed to get the shot. She's already tormented and I decided to cage her. Now this may be a bad idea because this is the end game and it's possible they can get the save. However, because this map is fairly large, you could guess she was located here, and I was correct. I received a notification, so I knew she's nearby. I decided to use a valuable strategy of tunneling her since she is defenseless without perks. Besides, it's an endgame, so it kinda happens anyway. So in this dry moment here, I managed to see Fane, and I decided to chase her down to get another hook off. Unluckily though, Bill here is trying to protect her from me. And this is when Punishment of the Damned comes in. I push it down, thinking that I could shoot, but unluckily, she panicked and I can get the hit. She's now tormented again thanks to her running right behind me. And Bill has a flashbang, so I knew that if I pick her up, they're going to get the save. So I decided to just torment her down, preventing them from getting the save, and Alan Wake has no choice but to go save her. And since Bill was a bit cocky, I had a big upper hand to go get him now. So, I managed to shoot him as he was in a corner, unluckily by the hook. Next example right here is while I'm chasing down this survivor, and I hear the gen right beside me to my left nearly completed. So in a hurry, I managed to down him before he reached the pallet. Knowing that the gen will pop, I decided to use my Cage of Atonement and take him down. With this time saved, I buy myself time to rush to that gen and stop Claudette from continuing it, which works. So, because of this, I stopped her from getting ejected. This is a valuable strategy if you know that apparently they are going for the save, or if there's an ejected nearby. It's always important to when you cage and when you shouldn't. And how you really shouldn't cage is literally if none of these factors are presented, it's when you really shouldn't cage them unless if you're just feeling like it. Now here's a trick that I need to mention about if a survivor refuses to be in the torment. Now, I don't have a video example of this, unfortunately, but I can still explain it and hopefully you can get a better understanding. If a survivor refuses to step into your trails because, well, they don't want to be caged, if you down them, you can actually force them to go into your trail by just carving it right beside the downed survivor and just picking them up and dropping them until they wiggle free. Now, this also works if you're thinking there's a flashlight nearby and you don't have that survivor tormented, so you just put down the trail right beside them and pick them up, and if they do get the save, whether it's a pallet save, flashbang, flashlight, or anything like that, the survivor will drop right into your trail with them now being tormented. Even if the survivor knows this, there's no absolute way to dodge it, so it's kind of an evil thing you can actually do as Pyramid Head. That's just something for you all to know in case if you're dealing with bully squads and they're refusing to step into your trail. If they are refusing to step in your trail, just trail around loops and stuff, and this will cause them to just abandon it. So you can use this to your advantage around windows, pallets, or any sort of a loop they wish to try to put it on, including lockers if they want to use head on. Now, Pyramid Head doesn't have that much weaknesses going around him other than just the clunkiness of his power. Ever since the nerf happened way back, and, well, a little bit month ago, I think, in the 4th anniversary. But his biggest weakness by far, though, is map mobility. See, Pyramid Head does move 115, but he has no power at all regarding to moving around the map, other than just the cages. So survivors, you can use this to their advantage. Also, hiding from him is also a very tactical strategy. I have countless times where it just became really difficult when survivors tried to hold WA. However, there is an add-on that Pyramid Head has that countered this really effectively, and I will explain that later on perks and add-ons. But for now, holding W can be a valuable strategy, depending on which type of loop they are on. Now that we have talked about how to play as Pyramid Head and how to play it correctly and properly, the only video or part of it that I want to talk about before I end this is perks and add-ons. Now, Pyramid Head is, of course, like I mentioned, is a strong killer for anti-loop if used properly. But, like I said, biggest weakness of him is mainly the map pressure and the lack of map mobility. So you could run perks, mainly O-ring perks like I'm All Ears or Zacian Tackets are really good perks on him, since you'll be able to see the survivor's aura. You can get sniped through walls. You could run something like Barbecue and Chili, or heck, you can even run Corrupt Intervention or even Trimly Trimbers to help make up for the lack of map mobility that this killer suffers. You can even run perks like Nowhere to Hide, and maybe even Lead with Sewer here would also be a great perk. And you can even also run Pop to synergize with Nowhere to Hide and Lead with Sewer. Or my most favorite build I always like to run on him is mainly this build right here. But just for the note, you could pretty much run whatever build you want as Pyramid Head. I personally do like this build a lot. Having the hexes to fuel with Pentimento, and he's not even that loud of a killer, but is tall, but I always like to run Plaything. Pain Res is just always good, it's just great on every killer. And Ruin helps him a lot as it gives him the lack of map mobility to make up for. And for add-ons, I always like to run both Spearhead and Burning Man's Painting. Unfortunately, most of these other add-ons do pretty much suck. Wish that Behavior would rework them. But for now on, I always like to increase duration of Rites of Judgment and Burning Man's Painting to increase the punishment of the dam attack. For this, the whole point to increase your duration allows you to stay on your power longer, keeping survivors in their toes even longer. And the range add-ons like Wax Doll or even Black Strap are also great add-ons. Well, this one, unfortunately, half is probably not good enough, but Wax Doll and Burning Man's Painting are just great add-ons to run, and you can double range them if you want. but I always personally like to increase the duration, so you can run something like Copper Rain or even Tablet of the Oppressor. You could also run maybe like Forgotten Videotape or even Video Save Photograph. These just decrease the time required to recharge your power. It takes 20 seconds, as I said earlier. Now, I do find these actually helpful, as people give credit for, so you could run something like this, but the duration add-ons are pretty much your best bet to get shots of, or to even zone properly. So in conclusion, Pyramid Head is a strong killer with anti-loop and a few other abilities he has to deal with, mainly of other survivors' tactics for saving or even just bullying straight up. But do keep in mind that his weaknesses can outmaneuver him if you're not careful, and it just depends on the map. Other than that, this is a guide, my first ever guide of the video on how to play Pyramid Head properly. Now there's a couple things I should also say, and it's mainly just fun facts. Fun fact is that if you try to nod as Pyramid Head, it will not work. Pyramid Head is pretty much the only killer in this game where he can't nod his head, you just move your hand. For those of you who don't know. Anyways, I hope that this guide will actually help you and understand how Pyramid Head works. And mainly Punishment of the Damned is probably going to be the biggest topic, because it is the most power that must be mastered. So, good luck to you all viewers of understanding and mastering this killer, and I hope you all have good luck. I wish you all luck on trying to get this killer mastered.